Hey guys, it's Brandon. So on the bright side, some good news, regardless what happens here. Um, there is a Zr1 owner's school that's complimentary on GM when you buy the Zr1. So myself and the person who's going in halves with me, we're going to go out there, okay? And also another one of my friends, we'll see if we can't schedule it at the same time. He's also getting a ZR1. The guy who has the black Z06, the blew the flames out the back, has a C7 ZR1. He's getting a C8 ZR1 here, first round allocation too, I believe. We'll see if we can't choreograph it where all three of us go out there together at the same time. And this time I won't try to aggravate the car because, okay, so let's talk about this because I haven't talked about this in a while, so this is a good discussion. This is a timeline. Sleeper88 was asking me the other night. Hang on, let me get a drink here. I got something caught in my throat. Sleeper88 was asking me the other night if I ever went out to Spring Mountain and what happened. So I never had the desire to go out for the C7 cars because the C7, I just want to be real with you guys, C5, C6, and C7, I was like a fish in water. When the car would quote unquote get upset, it didn't bother me. I could step the car out to a 45-degree angle if I hit rough bumps around an exit ramp or whatever, and I can get the car back. It's all second nature. When you get second nature at driving something, and then all of a sudden General Motors, flips the script, and now it's a mid-engine car. What you do second nature to save the car could spin you off the road and kill you, right? So first I took the C8 Z51 because that was the first one that I had. I took the C8 Z51, out on the exit ramps and stuff and tried to figure them out. Open parking lots, like Big Lowe's parking lots behind Walmart, whatever. Trying to figure out how the thing drifts, how it works, da-da-da. And just when I would think I'd figure it out, then when you apply faster speed to it, it doesn't behave the same. But at the time, I didn't understand that that was the variable. I just knew that it wasn't being consistent in its behavior, okay? And even at slow speeds, when you see people try to do donuts in the base C8 Z51, it does inconsistent shit, But regardless, and I'm not talking about, donuts aren't that important to me, but maybe doing a 180 in the middle of the road real quick to go back the other way if I so choose, that might be important to me, and I don't want to go in the ditch. I want the car to spin around. So anyway, I go out to Spring Mountain to figure out what happens when the car gets aggravated, because I knew just by looking at a Google Earth map that, okay, and looking at the, just on the internet, pictures of the place, videos, other people's videos of the cars, and so on and so forth, I could see that there were certain like 90-degree turns where it was an optional turn and the track also went straight and also went diagonal, and they'd set up the cones so you couldn't go the other ways and you had to do this sharp 90-degree turn. I'm like, perfect. I can do my, throwing the car out into a tail whip in that section, and if anything goes wrong, I go through a couple cones and I'm on pavement. I don't tear up the car. So day one was just kind of taking it easy, and you have to just kind of prove yourself. We were in a very competitive class. Like, to give you an idea, the guy who won the autocross, he wasn't even in the top 3 or 4 fastest drivers on the track. And then there was like a retired highway patrol guy who was still relatively young. He wasn't old, he was young, who could drive. He wasn't anywhere to be seen in any of these groups, so he didn't win that, he didn't do this. I'm not trying to talk shit about him. I'm saying there was a ton of great drivers in this class. It wasn't just like a bunch of slouches where I'm with like a bunch of, females and older couples or something. Like, everybody there could drive. And so I was like, well, I don't want to embarrass myself and not be in the Top Gun group, because I kind of asked how it works. I'm like, how's it work? And they said, whoever's the fastest on the second day, they're in their own exclusive group. I said, okay, great. So so second day, there was 4 of us in the group in the beginning, and then they dropped one guy off because he wasn't keeping the pace with the other three of us, because there were literally three of us that could all run 118s. And so in the beginning, my memory card was working great, okay? Then I had the incident where I wanted to aggravate the car around this turn and whip the tail end out and see what happens. And so I would whip the tail end out. Every time I go around this turn, I'd whip it out. So at slower speeds, it worked. Well, finally, I get my speed up where I'm going like 70, 80 miles per hour to where the Ediff program flips, but I didn't understand this at the time. I hadn't mapped it yet. I didn't understand it. And of course, what's the car do? When I go to step it out, it locks up the Ediff, and I'm carrying way too much speed into the turn if the car doesn't let me step it out. Because see, when you step a car out, when you whip the back end out, you are scrubbing off speed. You have all four tires fighting the corner, and you're scrubbing speed, and you can pull like 1.5, 1.6 lateral Gs for a temporary few brief moments until the car whips back, and there you go. You scrubbed off your speed. And so it's like I was preparing for an emergency situation. What happens when a deer jumps? What happens when a kid pulls out on a bicycle? What happens when somebody cuts you off? What happens when you're on a mountain road and all of a sudden the turn collapses and you're like, oh shit, I got to make this turn? What is the car going to do when you really, take it past its limit and step the back end out? So at the time, I didn't understand the Ediff program yet. And I didn't leave there understanding the Ediff program yet. I just knew that I wasn't a fan of the car. And so anyway, the Ediff locked up, and I was carrying so much speed that my front tires unhooked, and I knew I was carrying too much speed. And so then the only thing I could do is just hit my brakes. And so I locked up my brakes, and I went right through the cones and into the paved section, stopped right after I got into the cones. It wasn't a big drama or anything. But they had to bring the whole track to a halt. Everybody had to come to a halt because this jackass went off the track. But that's why I went out there. And I was open with the guys about it. And there were guys who were straight up with me like, you're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, well, if it was a C7 or a C5 or a C6, it wouldn't have been drama. I'm trying to figure the car out. Yeah, but you're not allowed to do that. You do that again, we'll blacklist you. Okay, and I get it. I'm not going to argue with them. So that was it. So when it finally came time for me to do my hot lap, or I did a hot lap, and the memory card, the PDR kept stop recording after 1 minute, which I guess is supposedly a common problem with the cars or whatever. But what's interesting is this happens after I go through the cones. So, and they know that I like to put stuff up on YouTube. You see what I'm saying? So neither here nor there, not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but all of a sudden my memory card stops working, okay, after I go through the cones. So it is what it is. Great coincidence. Worked out great. I don't have the footage of going through cones. They didn't let me leave out of there with that footage. And I'm not going to say they did it. It was just a bad coincidence, apparently. PDR stops recording after a minute every time. And they knew exactly what was the problem. They said, oh, we have to reflash the computer on the car. We've had this happen before. Okay. So I never got footage of another 118. I had some in the 118s from earlier, but I never got a good 118, like where I really, really tried, like gave it my all to not aggravate the car. Once I understood, okay, you can't aggravate the car, so that's not part of the equation. You got to remove that from the recipe of how you're going to set a fastest lap. You can't go into that turn drifting to scrub off speed. You got to, okay, so anyway, the point is, do I think I could have gotten into the 117s? I do. Do I think the two guys I was with could have gotten into the 117s? Yeah, okay. I'm not going to say you don't have enough time, but obviously you get better and better as you go. It was my first time out there. It was my first time ever being in a C8 at a racetrack. I was taking it easy, except for on this, one turn, I was really going at it because I knew I had the paved runoff. So fast forward now to the Z06. They've personally called and invited me out. They're real pleasant. They're real nice people. Rick Malone is a class act. Like, I have nothing bad to say about those guys out there. They didn't do anything wrong. They're awesome. So Rick Malone, personally reaches out to me and I assure him, I'm like, Rick, if I come back out there again, I'm not going to be trying to aggravate the car. I've since mapped the Ediff program. I've figured out what's going on. I've answered my own questions. I know why the car does what it does when it does it. it's no longer a mystery to me. I finally figured it out. By the way, I never mapped it with the Z51. With the Z51, I just kind of always stayed below the limit. Then I bought the non-Z51, and it was like heaven. It was like when Forrest Gump's shackles came off his legs, and all of a sudden you could go fast, right? So I got the non-Z51, and it was just heaven. The car handled so well, so fucking well. And then I put the C7 Z06 tires on there. The car handles so well. Loved the car. Okay. So, and I put custom wheels on there to accommodate those tires. Okay, because you can't just take C7 wheels off of C7 and put them on the car. They don't fit. So, so then, I kind of in the back of my mind knew I better keep my C7 to get the Z06 at the same time. Well, at the time I had like multiple open autos. I had the van still had a loan on it. I had the Z51, and then I was going after a Z06, $150,000 Z06 at 20 grand over. So you're at 170 grand. And of course, the bank eventually says you're going to need some considerable money down, because the debt to value ratio of this whole situation. And I said, I get it. I know how it works. I got to trade in the fucking Z51. So I traded in the Z51 to the dealership who got me the Z06 for 20 grand over because I appreciated them. I could have sold it outright and gotten 10 grand more for the car, but instead I traded it into them. Okay. And it wasn't Coughlin. It was another dealership. And so I'm always loyal to whoever's taking care of me. Same way that then I also eventually trade in, I had already traded in my Z51 when I bought the non-Z51. I traded my Z51 back into Coughlin. That's the car that got stolen from Coughlin, okay, by the bad guy who broke through the window and took my keys off the desk. So I trade my cars back in where I think I'm going to get the car. I let the dealership make money, okay? I'm a fair player, team player. So I got cooked on the whole Coughlin deal. I mean, so anyway, because they never sold me a Z06 like they said they would. So anyway, and that was before I used to insult Conti. Okay, this is the. So I might have called him out about the bad alignment bullshit that he's going to get somebody killed. That's maybe about it. But I think they'd already said they weren't selling me the car. They'd already made that, vibe that was what was going to happen. So I didn't care. Okay, so let's see here. So during the Z06 ownership, that's when I really started mapping the Ediff display on the dash and really figuring it out. And so did the anonymous driver. Really started mapping the dash on the Z06 because it's like, fuck. This is not as good as the non-Z51. I've just gone backwards. It's got a cool engine, but I've definitely gone backwards in handling. And without the car backstabbing you. And I finally figured out that somewhere between the speeds of like 70 or 80 miles per hour, the car's Ediff program flips and it locks out when you try to step it out. Okay, it doesn't let you step out the car. But the more you try to step out the car, the more it locks up the Ediff. So it's very counterproductive to try to do that. So then is the explanation, don't try to aggravate the car. Yes, sir, I get it. Okay, so, and they called me from Spring Mountain. They said, why don't you come out and drive the Z06? And like I said, I talked to Rick Malone. I said, you're a class act. I might come out with the girl I was dating at the time, who I'd known for a long time. And I said, I might come out with her. We'll see what happens. But long story short, if I come back out, I'm not going to be goofing around, dodging imaginary deer and trying to drift the car. I know what I already need to know about this car. I know how it works. I'll come out and I'll set a respectable lap time and I'll get out of your hair. You know what I mean? And he said, that sounds great. Class act guy. I really appreciate him. I've never gone out there. I could have, but I never did. I'd rather just go to the mountains. It's nothing against the guys at Spring Mountain. They're great guys. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. With the Zr1, it's a free class. All I got to do is pay the plane ticket, apparently. So I'll probably be out there for the Zr1. Okay? So to give those of you some something to look forward to, who are so obsessed with lap times on video, we'll get the fucking video, okay? Well, it's going to happen eventually. I don't know when GM's going to open up the class. I don't know, if there's going to be a delay on it, how long it's going to be till they open it up. But let's just say, obviously, I'm in the first 300 cars, so I'm going to go out there. That's it, okay? Okay, so that's that story. Okay. I really do appreciate the guy for reaching out, but about the racetrack thing. But guys, at the same token, you know me by now. I just tell the truth. I'm an equal offender, okay, of all people. I don't candy coat things. I just get to the point. The Ferrari store and the Lambo store in West Palm Beach already invite me to these events, these private events. I know the guys who work at the McLaren store. I know all these guys. I'm starting to believe that these events are, the gentleman was talking about, are these kind of events potentially. I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that they're like those events. He asks me if I know Brooks, the drag times guy. Yeah, I've known Brooks for a long time. I'm spoiled / I think it's classy, I don't know, to not try to bother somebody just because they're somebody. I grew up around a lot of well-to-do, kind of famous people and met a lot of people throughout my life. And, I go to let's put it this way. I would bump into Brooks at the Meat Market, which is a fancy restaurant in Palm Beach, or I'd bump into Brooks at Buchan, or I'd bump into Brooks at, I'm naming off fancy restaurants. That's where I'd bump into Brooks, okay? Or Spodo's, or something like that. The places I always go. I'm glad that Brooks does what he does. I have nothing against what Brooks does. Brooks is fully talented at what he does. I have no complaints about what his capability as a driver. I'm just saying, to me, drag racing, it's who has the better car. The cars are so fucking computerized these days that it really just comes down to who has the better car. And, who puts the better tires in their car? Who knows how to set up a car? It's not rocket science. He knows it's our 888s, all-wheel drive cars are going to win. There's a lot of people out there who just don't know this stuff, and so it's new and exciting to them. And I'm not trying to piss in your Cheerios. I'm not trying to be a snob. But I'm just saying, guys, you've got to understand, I tried to emphasize it in the last video. I'm over this scene. I've lived it. I've been... in 2000... I went a few years without driving vets for just a couple years. Then I bought a C7 Z06 in 2017. But from 14 until 17, I wasn't driving Z06s. My turbo car was parked. I was just focused on other things in life, trying to get my patents done. That's all I worked on all day long was patents. I had to have my little diesel Jetta. I'd go to the clubs at night in my little diesel Jetta. I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I was running with the hottest girls at the time. I got photos of the chicks I was living with and dating, and life was good. And I kite surfed all the time. It's I'd kite surf, work on my patents, hang out with super hot chicks, go to the club, eat dinner. That was my life every day. Kite surf, hot chicks, go to the club, blah, blah, blah. Because I had a bunch of money saved up because I had my own business before that. And so, once my money started running low, that's when I had to get back to work. And once I got back to work, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a C7 Z06 that's under warranty. That way, if I break the damn thing, and let's just call it a day and be in the new body style. So I buy a C7 Z06. I got a really killer deal on it. It's when they had hang tags It was a 2016 in the year 2017, and I stole that car. I got the car for over $20,000 off a $95,000 sticker. Okay, I stole that thing. I mean, they were going for the auction used with miles more than what I paid for this new one that I got my hands on from a dealer in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina, that I found on Auto Trader, and then I whittled them down. So I got that car, and then that car is when I came into the fuel pressure issue and the limp modes. So up until then, I really didn't frequent Corvette forum. I didn't care about impressing anybody. I definitely didn't have a YouTube channel. I kept to myself. I had a great life. I made videos of things all the time with the girls, with what was going on. I've not published that stuff. That stuff is not published, okay? It's pretty entertaining stuff. I said one day I'm probably going to create, a documentary about all this shit and what we're up to and blah, blah, blah. But I never did, obviously. I started going through scenarios in my life where really important people in my life started betraying me one after another after another. People started betraying me, who I was not bad to. I was very, very, very good to these people, super nice. I wasn't like I am now. And once you get betrayed by enough people, including like your grandparents and just different things, people want to betray you for no reason. People get into medications and drugs, they just get weird. You start to realize you kind of just got to start living life for yourself and stop banking on the fact that if you are someone's servant, that they're going to repay the favor. Because all of a sudden I just get... It's a long story. I'm not going to get into it. But the point is, then I had some people who I'm not going to mention the names or relation or anything like that definitely started getting jealous of me, who were close to me and started trying to ruin my life. They were just jealous because they knew that I had this website thing brewing, and they knew that I had good money and that I was living a good life, hanging out with hot chicks and so on and so forth. And I expected them to act fair if I exposed what they were up to, like, snap out of it, man. Stop fucking with me. People just did not care. They just, it was like a snowball. They wanted to bury me. So then, meanwhile, I'm dealing with Corvette forum. I'm dealing with all this shit where these people like Deb Lowe and everybody want to try to suppress the truth that the car's having issues and that I can lemon law C7 after C7. Then the C8s come along, and the C8s have these problems with the transmissions and the Ediff, and I can't predict the car, and when you aggravate it, all these different things. And that's when I started Vet Titans. I'm like, we got to get through this computer. The Corvette was like my last trustworthy friend. It's like my trustworthy horse. It's like your dog, and all of a sudden you can't even trust it. I'm really glad I figured out about the non-Z51. You can trust that car, okay? You can trust the non-Z51. It's a really, really great car. I've had people say, I'm going to get a C7, Brandon, because you talked me out of a C8. The C7s have the same issue, but it's not so detrimental. But the C7s have the same glitches, guys. I had a C7 that went to shit, but with the Ediff glitches. And I'm not the only one. I've talked to other people. They all reached out to me. They're like, my car's doing the same thing. My car's doing the same thing. Nobody can fix it. It's like, fuck. That's the car that ended up getting stolen out of Jake Sweeney, okay, Chevrolet. And it ended up getting totaled, thank God. But anyway, the insurance company agreed to total it, thank God. Okay, so anyway, so now I'm at this point where it's like, okay, I've learned that I can't really trust people. I've learned that you got to kind of take the bull by the horns if you want things to go your way, okay? And I also step back and say, I wonder if the universe is trying to stop me from releasing this technology. And when I tell you that from the year 2018 to now, I was already wise and very polite. You guys would have used the YouTube channel that I would have put on back then. You guys would have loved it. It was hot chicks. It was me being fun and polite, and it was good time, good music all the time. going out. I mean, you guys would have loved it, but I probably also would have gone to jail, okay? Because I was speeding around fast at night and being crazy. I would have been a target, we'll just say that. The cops would have definitely been after me. A lot of jealous people. I mean, senators and shit would have been like, how is this guy not in jail? How's this guy making TV shows about this shit and he's not in jail? Like, throw this guy in jail. So, you know, that was kind of like the thing is like, let's wait till statute of limitations runs out and then we'll release this documentary. So, whatever, just show. It doesn't even have to be a documentary, whatever. So then I start running into this stuff with the Ediffs and starting to realize that it's the manufacturers want stuff to be this way. It's just one thing after another. And of course, all the Donald Trump stuff and Biden stuff and, you know, COVID and all the lockdowns and people starting to see how powerful the world leaders who are billionaires actually are at creating inflation, which is to their favor. And if my website stops inflation, think what a target that makes me for them to take out. So if my website eliminates unnecessary middlemen, think about what a target that makes me for them to take out, okay? So I really had to kind of take a step back, and it's one of those things where it's like, if you can't beat them, join them. Do I just release the stuff that doesn't cause them trouble and I just join them? And it's like, let's keep the inflation rolling, baby. We're on the rich team and we're going to screw over the masses. That's one option. I might do that. Option two is I release these other websites that put me in the fucking Antichrist category, because that's what they've done, is they've programmed you guys to believe that the guy who comes along with the solutions is the Antichrist. So then I kind of got to thinking about it. I'm like, well, you know what? This whole Corvette thing is like a serious topic about well-being and safety and, you know, self-preservation and, you know, you don't want the car to wreck you and kill you, blah, blah, blah. Let's just see what percentage of the population, what percentage of car guys wants to actually learn the problem and embrace the problem and says, thank you. There's like, you know, 900 people in the Vet Titans group. I don't know if all of them are my friends. Probably not. You got plenty of haters that follow you. I had up to 3,000 people on the last YouTube channel. I'm up, you know, up around 800 on this one. It's amazing how many people just want to hate you for being the guy who is the first one to break bad news. They don't want to learn about the bad news and conquer it. They're not problem-solving oriented people. They're delusional, like druggy people. Maybe they're old people on medication, whatever it is, but you're ruining their high. That's what you're doing. You're ruining their, you know, they want to sit there and listen to the oldies music, which is good music, don't get me wrong, but they just want to sit there in La La Land and be happy. And they watch my videos, he's mean about Corvettes. So, anyway. That's who I am, guys. Like I've just explained it. I'm not chasing any highs right now. I like to just sit in silence and think to myself, try to find answers to like some of life's deepest questions, and tell you guys about problems with the cars that can get you killed if they, you know, if you don't understand them and you don't address them. Like rear caster is a big one. It's a big one. Flat camber from Rick and Conti? No. Okay, just... Like I said, I can forgive bullshit. I can forgive and forget and move on. The problem that we're still having with the gentleman is he hasn't given me his phone number yet. It's like, I'll have my people call you. The guy who wants to invite me to the racetrack, I'll have my people call you and they're going to put you through a screening process and we'll determine if you're eligible or not. You're not going to call me? We're not going to talk? I'm trying to be friendly with you, sir. Instead, it's this long text typing nonsense, wasting my time. Why would I want to talk to one person when I can make a video and talk to 1,000? You see what I'm saying? I don't have time to talk to every person one-on-one like I just did this guy today. I'm not going to block them, but I'm just being real. This is why I block people. When people are like, they want to be the center of attention and they don't realize it. They don't understand. You're asking me to prove myself. I'm not the one trying to prove myself. It's you guys wanting to prove myself. I'm not going to listen to your information about cars unless you prove that you're a fast driver. Okay. I'll prove I'm a fast driver because enough of you keep complaining because apparently you guys don't know what 1.2 lateral G's in the mountains means. It doesn't fucking register. Go tell Brooks to go pull 1.2 lateral G's in the mountains. I'm not trying to talk shit about Brooks. He's a great driver. I'm saying maybe he'll put it in perspective for you. Have him take a C8 Z06 and go pull 1.2 lateral G's over and over every turn in the mountains and see if he doesn't say, this is sketchy, this is work. Just, that's all I'm saying. Show some respect. That's all. See ya.